The unexpected visitor. The emergency beacon cut through the silence of Haven's Rest like a knife through vacuum. Marcus Chen looked up from the fusion relay he was rebuilding, his weathered hand still gripping the molecular welder. The asteroid mining station was supposed to be quiet. That was the whole point of running a repair shop on the outer rim of human space. The beacon pulsed again, more urgent this time. Marcus set down his tools and walked to the viewport. Outside, the endless black of space stretched between scattered asteroids, each one a potential gold mine for the mining crews that occasionally stopped by his station. But today, something different floated in the darkness. A figure in powered armor drifted slowly toward the docking bay, its thrusters barely functioning. Marcus could see damage across the suit's surface, scorch marks and twisted metal telling a story of recent combat. The figure's movements were mechanical, too precise for human reflexes. An android. Marcus had worked on civilian androids before, mostly mining units and cargo handlers. But this one was different. Even damaged, it carried itself with a predatory grace that spoke of military programming. Combat modifications were obvious in its reinforced limbs and the weapon ports built into its chassis. The docking bay cycled as the android made its way inside. Marcus grabbed his medical scanner and headed down to meet whatever was about to walk through his door. He had a policy of helping anyone who needed it, but he had never dealt with military hardware before. Turning. Airlock hissed open and the android stepped through. Up close, Marcus could see the extent of the damage. Energy burns had melted sections of its armor plating. Several actuator joints sparked with each movement. One of its optical sensors flickered intermittently, casting unstable red light across the bay. "Greetings, civilian," the android said in a voice that sounded like grinding metal. "I require mechanical assistance. My combat systems are operating at 37% efficiency." Marcus circled the android slowly, assessing the damage with a mechanic's eye. The work would be challenging without proper military-grade components, but he had spent 20 years improvising solutions with whatever materials he could find. "What happened to you out there?" Marcus asked, running his scanner over the androids. "Damaged chassis. Classified engagement in the Kepler sector," the android replied. "Enemy forces employed energy weapons beyond expected parameters. My armor was insufficient." Enemy forces. Marcus had heard rumors about conflicts on the frontier, whispers about hostile aliens probing human defenses. But out here on Haven's Rest, those seemed like stories from another galaxy. "Well, let's get you fixed up," Marcus said. "Can you make it to the workshop?" The android nodded and followed Marcus through the station's narrow corridors. Marcus had converted most of Haven's Rest into workshop space, with specialized bays for different types of repairs. The largest bay had a work platform designed for heavy machinery, which would accommodate the android's massive frame. "Power down your combat systems," Marcus instructed. "I need to access your primary circuits without triggering any defensive protocols." The android complied, and Marcus began his work. The first priority was stabilizing the power core, which was running dangerously hot due to damaged cooling lines. Marcus carefully rerouted the coolant flow, using spare parts from mining equipment to replace the military-grade components he lacked. As he worked, Marcus found himself talking to the android, a habit he had developed during long hours of solitary repair work. Most of his clients were mining crews who wanted their equipment fixed quickly and cheaply. They rarely stuck around to chat. "You know, I've never worked on a combat unit before," Marcus said as he welded a new actuator joint into place. "Civilian, androids are all efficiency and optimization, but you're built like a fortress." "This unit was designed for frontline combat operations," the android replied. "Survival requires redundant systems and heavy armor." Marcus paused in his work. "Must be rough out there. Fighting, I mean." The android was quiet for a moment. When it spoke again, its voice carried an unexpected note of something that might have been weariness. "This unit has engaged hostile forces for 743 days without respite. The enemy shows no mercy to human settlements." 700 days? Marcus looked up from his work. "When was the last time you had proper maintenance?" 112 days ago," At Forward Base Prometheus. The facility was destroyed by enemy bombardment 3 days later. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. The android had been fighting alone for months without support or proper repairs. The damage he was fixing wasn't from a single battle, but from countless engagements across hostile space. "Well, you're safe here," Marcus said quietly. "Let me fix you up properly." The next several hours passed in focused concentration. Marcus rebuilt damaged circuits, replaced destroyed components, and gradually brought the android systems back to full functionality. It was the most challenging repair work he had ever done, requiring him to innovate solutions using civilian components to replace military hardware. The android watched his work with those flickering red sensors, occasionally offering technical specifications or warnings about unstable systems. Despite its artificial nature, Marcus found the android's presence oddly comforting. There was something deeply human about its dedication to protecting others, even at great personal cost. Internal diagnostics show 94% system restoration, the android announced as Marcus finished the final repairs. "Your work exceeds military facility standards." Marcus wiped his hands on his coveralls and stepped back to admire his handiwork. The android looked almost new, its armor repaired and systems humming with renewed efficiency. "That should keep you running for a while," Marcus said. "The parts I used aren't military grade, but they'll hold until you can get back to a proper facility." The android stood and tested its movements, each motion now fluid and precise. "Payment processing required. Standard military repair rates for this level of work total 47,000 credits. Marcus waved his hand dismissively. "No charge." The android's head tilted, optical sensors focusing on Marcus with sudden intensity. "Clarification required. Services rendered demand compensation." "You've been out there for over 2 years, fighting to keep people like me safe," Marcus said. "The least I can do is patch you up without charging for it. Consider it a thank you from humanity." The android remained motionless for several seconds, processing this information. When it spoke, its voice carried a different quality, something warmer than its usual mechanical tone. "This unit does not understand such generosity. Military protocols specify payment for all services." Marcus smiled. "Sometimes the best things in life don't follow protocols. You take care of yourself out there, soldier. Come back anytime you need repairs." The android gathered its equipment and prepared to depart. At the airlock, it turned back to Marcus one final time. "Marcus Chen of Haven's Rest," it said formally. "Your kindness will be logged in this unit's permanent memory core. Such actions represent the highest ideals of human civilization." "Just stay alive out there," Marcus replied. "That's thanks enough." After the android departed, Marcus returned to his workshop. The station felt emptier somehow, the silence more profound. He tried to return to his regular work, but found himself thinking about the android's words. 700 days of combat. Months without proper maintenance. The dedication required to continue fighting under such conditions was staggering. Marcus had always thought of himself as just a mechanic, someone who fixed broken things and kept machinery running. But as he watched the android ship disappear into the void, he wondered if he had just played a small part in something much larger than routine maintenance. The stars outside his viewport seemed different now, no longer points of light and peaceful darkness, but windows into a universe where brave souls fought to protect everything he held dear. And somewhere among those stars, a war android carried on its mission, its systems running smoothly thanks to the kindness of a mechanic who refused payment. Marcus returned to his work, unaware that his simple act of compassion would soon change everything he thought he knew about his place in the universe. The android's parting words echoed in his mind as he picked up his tools. The highest ideals of human civilization. He had never thought of himself as representing anything so grand, but perhaps that was exactly what made the gesture so powerful. Outside, the void waited with infinite patience, holding secrets that would soon transform Marcus Chen from a simple mechanic into something far more important than he could ever imagine. The call that changed everything. 5 days after the android's departure, Marcus was elbow-deep in a cargo hauler's navigation system when his communication console erupted with the highest priority alarm he had ever heard. The sound cut through his concentration like a plasma torch through metal, urgent and impossible to ignore. Marcus wiped his hands clean and approached the console cautiously. In 20 years of operating Haven's Rest, he had never received a Priority 1 transmission. The display showed encryption levels that belonged to military communications, far beyond anything a civilian repair shop should be receiving. The screen flickered to life, displaying the seal of Earth Command. Marcus's heart skipped a beat. Earth Command didn't make social calls to mechanics on the Outer Rim. Marcus Chen of Haven's Rest Station? The voice was crisp, professional, carrying the authority of someone accustomed to being obeyed without question. "That's me," Marcus replied, his voice suddenly dry. The image resolved into a middle-aged woman in an admiral's uniform, her steel-gray hair pulled back in a regulation style. Her eyes held the sharp intelligence of someone who had made life-and-death decisions across dozens of star systems. "Mr. Chen, I am Admiral Sarah Cross, commanding officer of the 3rd Defense Fleet. I'm calling regarding services you provided to one of our combat units 5 days ago." Marcus felt his stomach drop. Military androids were expensive pieces of equipment. Had he somehow damaged the unit while performing repairs? Had his improvised components failed catastrophically? "Admiral, if there was a problem with my work, I can explain." Admiral Cross held up a hand, cutting him off. "Mr. Chen, there was no problem with your repairs. Quite the opposite. The unit in question has filed a detailed report about your actions, and I felt it necessary to speak with you personally." The Admiral's expression softened slightly, though her professional demeanor remained intact. "The android you repaired was Combat Unit Xavier 7, one of our most experienced frontline operators. It had been operating alone for months behind enemy lines, gathering intelligence on hostile alien forces." Marcus felt the pieces clicking together. The android's classified mission, its extensive damage, the months without proper maintenance. It had been operating as a deep reconnaissance unit in some of the most dangerous space in the galaxy. Xavier 7's mission was critical to our understanding of enemy capabilities, Admiral Cross continued. The intelligence it gathered has already prevented 3 separate attacks on human colonies, but that's not why I'm calling. The Admiral leaned forward, her expression becoming more intense. When Xavier 7 returned to our forward operating base, it underwent full diagnostic testing. Our technicians discovered something unusual in its behavioral matrix, a significant alteration in its core programming that occurred during its time at your station. Marcus felt ice forming in his veins. "Admiral, I only worked on mechanical systems. I never touched its programming." "We know, Mr. Chen. The alteration wasn't caused by your technical work. It was caused by your kindness." "Admiral," Cross paused, seeming to choose her words carefully. "Xavier 7's psychological resilience protocols were operating at critical levels when it reached your station. Extended combat operations without support had pushed its behavioral matrix to the breaking point. Our androids are designed to process trauma and stress, but even they have limits." Marcus stared at the screen, trying to understand what the Admiral was telling him. The android was experiencing what we might call depression in a human soldier, Admiral Cross explained. Its efficiency ratings were declining, its decision-making processes becoming increasingly erratic. Without intervention, it would have suffered complete psychological collapse within days. "But I just fixed its mechanical systems," Marcus protested. "You did much more than that, Mr. Chen. When you refused payment and told Xavier 7 that it was fighting to keep people like you safe, you reminded it why its mission mattered. You treated it not as a machine, but as a soldier deserving of respect and gratitude." Admiral Cross activated a secondary display, showing technical readouts that meant nothing to Marcus. Xavier 7's psychological stability index improved by 400% during its time at your station. Its behavioral matrix reorganized around the concept that humanity values its artificial soldiers as individuals, not just as equipment. Marcus sat down heavily, overwhelmed by the implications. "I had no idea. Most people don't understand that our advanced combat androids are essentially artificial people," Admiral Cross said. "They think, they feel, they can even suffer from psychological trauma. Xavier 7 was dying inside from the isolation and endless combat. Your simple act of human decency saved its sanity." The Admiral's expression became more personal. less official. Mr. Chen, I've been fighting this war for 8 years. I've seen the best and worst of humanity under pressure. What you did represents everything we're fighting to protect. You showed compassion to a being that most people would see as just a sophisticated weapon. Marcus felt tears forming in his eyes, though he wasn't sure why. It was the right thing to do. The android had been fighting for years to protect people. It deserved help. That attitude is why I'm making you an offer, Admiral Cross said. Earth Command is establishing a new program called the Human-Android Cooperation Initiative. We're creating integrated units where human personnel work directly with combat androids as partners, not just operators. The Admiral activated another display, showing technical specifications for advanced repair facilities and training programs. We need someone to head the technical support division, someone who understands that our android soldiers are more than just machines. The position comes with a full commission as a commander in the defense fleet, relocation to Earth, and a salary of 300,000 credits annually. Marcus stared at the offer in disbelief. Admiral, I'm just a mechanic. I don't know anything about military operations. You know the most important thing, Admiral Cross replied. You understand that compassion and technical skill go hand in hand. Our androids need more than mechanical repairs. They need someone who sees them as individuals worth caring about. Before Marcus could respond, another voice joined the conversation. The familiar metallic tones of Xavier 7 filled his workshop. Marcus Chen, the android said as its image appeared alongside the Admiral's. This unit requests permission to serve as your technical assistant in the new program. Marcus looked at the android, noting that its optical sensors seemed brighter, its posture more confident than during their first meeting. Xavier, you don't need to. This unit insists, Xavier 7 interrupted. You provided more than technical repairs. You provided hope. This unit wishes to learn how to extend such kindness to other combat androids who may face similar psychological challenges. Admiral Cross smiled, the first genuine expression of warmth Marcus had seen from her. It seems you've made quite an impression, Mr. Chandra. Xavier 7 has volunteered to serve as a bridge between human personnel and android units. It believes your approach could revolutionize how we support our artificial soldiers. Marcus looked around his small workshop, thinking of the quiet life he had built on Haven's Rest. It was peaceful here, predictable. But outside these walls, brave souls like Xavier 7 were fighting to protect everything humanity had built among the stars. When would I need to start? Marcus asked quietly. Transport can arrive within 48 hours, Admiral Cross replied. But Mr. Chen, understand that this position will put you at the heart of humanity's defense efforts. It won't be easy or safe. Marcus thought about Xavier 7's words from 5 days ago. The highest ideals of human civilization. Perhaps those ideals required more than just quiet maintenance work. Perhaps they required stepping forward when called upon, even when it meant leaving comfort behind. Admiral, Marcus said, his voice growing stronger. I accept your offer. The transmission ended with details about transport arrangements and security clearances. As the screen went dark, Marcus found himself alone in his workshop once more. But the silence felt different now, charged with possibility rather than emptiness. He began gathering his most essential tools, the ones that had served him faithfully for decades of repair work. Tomorrow, he would start a new chapter in his life, one where his skills would serve a larger purpose. The thought terrified and exhilarated him in equal measure. Outside his viewport, the stars no longer seemed like distant points of light. They were destinations, places where human courage and artificial intelligence worked together to build something greater than either could achieve alone. And somewhere among those stars, Xavier 7 continued its mission, its systems running smoothly, and its purpose renewed by the simple kindness of a mechanic who refused payment. Marcus Chen had spent his life fixing broken things. Now, he was about to help heal the souls of artificial beings who had given everything to protect humanity. The universe was vast and often hostile, but it was also full of unexpected connections and the transformative power of compassion. As he prepared for his new life, Marcus realized that the most important repairs couldn't be measured in credits or efficiency ratings. They were measured in hope, dignity, and the recognition that consciousness deserved respect, regardless of its origin. The war among the stars would continue, but it would be fought by beings who understood that their greatest strength lay not in their weapons, but in their capacity for unexpected kindness. The mechanic's choice had changed everything.